Welcome back, everybody. In this video, I'm going to compare 3 different camera setups for shooting wildlife video. All of these setups are under $2,000 US, and 2 of them under 1,000, assuming that you buy all of those components used. All of these cameras shoot 4K. They're all interchangeable lens systems, and they're capable of shooting these videos here. My standard disclaimer, one piece of this gear was bought more than 5 years ago when I still worked at a camera store. No longer in the industry. I just like that brand. I've bought more gear from them. So if you have a problem with that, you're now aware. You may notice some costume changes through this video. I actually shot it over 3 days, and this is a 4th day because I didn't like the video that I shot for an intro originally. All that said, let's get started. Taking a walk at a nature preserve pretty close to where I live. There are a lot of herons here, sometimes an owl or two, some beaver, deer, raccoons, muskrats. So I'm going to check it out and see what there is today. Let me take a look. I can hear an owl, a barred owl calling in the background, 2 of them. 2 separate owls, so we're going to get some neat stuff hopefully in a second. Right now I'm videoing some ducks in the water, but I'm going to move here in just a moment and see if we can't find those owls. I didn't end up finding the owls this day, although we do find them the next day, so we will get to see them. After I put my camera away that I was filming me with, I saw this little red squirrel on the way out. Thought it was cute, got a little bit of footage, and we'll see the owls tomorrow. Considering this whole rig, heck, probably including the tripod, if you get a good deal on it, can be had used for under 1,000. I think the video quality is pretty good. It's not the best camera for video. It's got 8-bit video capture. I'm not sure what the color space is. Couldn't find it online. But if you're not doing a lot of color grading, capture what you need in camera, you can produce some good stuff. As promised, on day 2, we did find the owls. And one thing to note here is it is super dark. The owls don't come out until about a half an hour before sunset, and most of this footage is right as the sun is setting, or slightly after, actually. The Viltrox Speed Booster helps make the effective aperture of the lens a lot bigger. We're out looking at an owl with the adapted rig. I'll cover what the rig is and get back to the studio. It's really far away, and I don't know if we're going to be able to see him. Well, it's in that mess. But I'm looking at the camera. And there it is. Looking away from us right now. Camera's doing real well. Shooting some 4K. We'll look at the footage when we get home. When I shot this last bit of footage, the sun had set. We're a few minutes after sunset, so it is super dark. And I still think this footage looks amazing, especially considering that I'm using a camera with only 8-bit capture that isn't particularly good in super low light. I think this footage looks really good. Hi, we're at a local lake, and I'm looking at a bald eagle's nest right now. I saw there's one in the nest, and I think there's some eaglets, and there's another one flying around that I saw earlier. So hopefully we're going to get some good footage, testing a 3rd setup, and hopefully this goes real well. Right, an eagle just came back to the nest with a little fish or something. Couldn't quite see what it had in its beak as it flew over, but it is up doing some feeding right now. There's a lot of branches in the way, so it'll be interesting to see what we actually capture with this. Pretty amazing to get this close to a wild eagle. We could approach a little closer. They're protected, so you have to stay, forget the exact number of feet away, between 600 and 700 if I remember correctly. But you kind of drop down from here as you approach the nest, and the angle isn't very good, so we're up on a ridge a little farther away. It seems the rarer the creature and the heavier my camera, the more likely it is that it's facing away from me when it stops. But we'll see what we get. Hopefully it'll turn around a little. definitely feeding its young. Shooting in 60 frames a second. So we'll see what this looks like. Yeah, it's got it bringing its head up and feeding. So I think we've got some good footage here. We're shooting the Olympus now because my Blackmagic ran out of batteries and the Eagles are both in the nest. So we'll get some good footage here. The difference between this footage and the footage with the Blackmagic cinema camera is largely my inexperience with color grading. I decided to use a flat profile on the Blackmagic. The built-in color processing on the Olympus looks like it's got a lot more contrast dialed in and a lot more sharpness. So this camera is the one that was used for the first day and the very last of the third day when the Blackmagic camera ran out of power. It is an EM5 Mark III from Olympus. It has got their 75 to 300, their second generation 75 to 300 on the front. And for the Eagle shots, I had an ND8 filter on the front because it's just too bright outside. Eagles feed during the day. So a little too bright without an ND filter for video. And that got all of those shots. I'm really impressed. I think the colors, they look processed, so if you're a real big fan of color grading, it might not be the solution for you. But it is tiny for a wildlife rig. That and a super lightweight tripod will get you a lot of good results. And it does have phase detect autofocus. I've not tried it in video for moving subjects. The frame's just a little bit tight for that, but I got good results with it over the couple of days that I got to shoot it. I also used this camera in my recent video on wildlife photography, so you can see it there. So let's take a look at camera number 2. All right, this is the second setup, and I went ahead and left the 75 to 300 on this camera body, but it was this lens and this body on day 2. And the magic of this setup is this little part at the end. This is a Viltrox mount adapter, and it's got some glass inside. And what it does is it focuses a full frame down closer to the Micro Four Thirds sensor that's in here, so you get an effectively brighter aperture by sacrificing some of the focal length. But this is a 600 millimeter lens on its long side, which should be 1200 thanks to the 2x crop factor on this camera. We give up some of that, but what we end up with is the full frame equivalent of an 840 millimeter lens at f3.5. So that lens would be a giant unicorn if it existed for full frame. Super bright, super long. It did way better than I thought it would. The one bummer is the little tiny focus ring. It's not very fine focusing. It's a little bit of a trouble getting it dialed in really tight. But I was successful. I only had one shot that was a little soft. And I'm, again, super happy with the results. Some of the owl shots, it was dark. And I was still shooting at an acceptable ISO. I didn't put any noise reduction in post for the video. I did for the audio because I was right next to a highway. But this setup is just wonderful. And it just gives you a ton of reach that's really impractical with any other system. This is the third setup. Well, parts of the third setup. This is the lens that I used. This is the camera body I used. This is that 75 to 300 for Micro Four Thirds. And this is a Blackmagic Pocket 4K. It normally does not come with this battery grip. That was an additional add-on that the previous owner had purchased. I got this one used, and I got it at a heck of a price. They are just really super neat tools for video. It's got dual base ISO. If you're not super video camera fluent, that just means that unlike most photo cameras that have either 100 or 200 ISO as their base, this has 800 and 3200 as their two base ISOs. So at 3200, most of my Micro Four Thirds cameras have really noticeable noise. This doesn't. That combined with bright glass makes for a pretty great image. It has decent onboard mics. It has a 1/4-20 there on the top for mounting accessories. I got a super good deal locally from a dealer who had it for a while, and I also got a speed booster. I got a cage. I got the accessory battery pack. I got a French flag. got all sorts of stuff. Got a rail system for $500. That's a lot cheaper than you can buy it online, but I bought it as a retail customer. I didn't get a special deal. They just had it for a while. And what the dealer told me was these kinds of cameras, in their experience, somebody comes in looking for something very specific. So unless they're hunting for a Pocket 4K, they're not really interested in it. They're not coming in saying, hey, I'd like a cinema body that'll do 4K. They want a specific camera. So the market for this apparently wasn't very strong in my city, and I was able to pick it up for a song. The challenge for me is learning color grading. You don't have to. You can have it as silhouette in the camera. The back screen does not tilt. And when I was out in the field, you could see me crouching over to look at it. I do have an external monitor. That would kick it up over $1,000. So $500 for this. And then this lens picked up for under a few hundred. So even a little bit of money left over. It's a great deal if you can find them at a good price. I've seen them online from bigger used companies that give you a warranty with them for more than that. There for a minute, brand new, they were down to $1,000. Great camera, and you saw the footage. It is very capable of doing what you need it to do. 3 budget cameras, and I think they all turned out pretty good footage. If you're looking to do video on a budget, I like looking at used gear. If you find a piece of gear that did great video 2 or 3 years ago or a generation ago, it's probably going to do great video today. I hope you found this video useful. Please like and subscribe. Good luck in your video journey, and we'll see you next time.